I wanted to ask you, and this is why I made the decision. I was in the bathroom thinking about the show.
That happens sometimes when you go to the bathroom.
And I said, it's probably better that I throw this at dirt versus the other way around. Yesterday, I didn't know where this registered on the big breaking news meter. I actually saw this, and I just went, that's a bummer. And then I kind of moved on. It was big news, I think, in the sense of how it was reported. But it didn't hit me in the way that it would have hit me a decade ago.
I know what you're going here.
Tiger Woods ruptured his Achilles yesterday.
He did.
And he immediately got surgery for it. And so he's going to be out for definitely all of this year. And it's not that I didn't or I don't think Tiger's worthy of the big breaking news.
No.
I haven't viewed Tiger largely since he won the Masters randomly in 2019 as a real serious golfer that could win on that level anymore. The field is too good.
Yeah.
Where did this register for you? Because ESPN and SportsCenter were running with this right along the same lines of college hoop ticket punches and all the other sports going on yesterday. Where did this register for you as a golf guy?
I mean, it was still a bummer, but I had a similar reaction to you. It doesn't hit the way that it would have hit circa 2013 when he went through all the stuff that he was going through, and you thought, is he ever going to come back from this? And then he finally did in 2019, and he had a great run leading him to that win at the Masters as well. Like, he nearly won the PGA Championship the year before. He nearly won the Open Championship the year before. Lost one of them to Brooks. Lost one of them to Molinari. So he had a great run there, and then that was kind of it. And then the car accident happened, and he had to come back from that. So this is just kind of who he is. I am somebody, though, that still gets excited. I watch golf tournaments whether he's playing or not. But I will admit to you that when he's in the field, there's a little more juice. When he's in a featured group in a tournament, and I'm watching that on ESPN Plus at 6:45 in the morning, it's a little more exciting just to watch him, because there's an aspect of, I know that he's not going to win again. I know he's never going to win another major, but he is the greatest golfer of all time, the greatest golfer I've ever seen. And every time I get an opportunity to watch him, I'm going to enjoy it and appreciate it. Whether he's shooting a 77 or whether he's shooting a 68, it doesn't matter to me. It's Tiger Woods, and it's cool to be able to watch Tiger Woods still play golf. I was too young to fully appreciate, I think, the official begin of his career, and I'm bummed out by that. Like, I remember him winning the 97 Masters, but I wasn't a diehard golf guy when I was 9 years old. I remember it being a big deal in the sports world and what he was doing being a big deal, but I didn't follow golf at that age the way that I do now. And so there's like a bummer factor there of like, God, if I was just a little bit older, I would have been able to appreciate it more. And so now, knowing that he's going to be out the rest of the year, he can still hit it with anybody. It's just the physical limitations of walking. He was actually going to likely play not only the Genesis, but also the Players' Championship, which is this week, which is one of the biggest events of the year. But his mom passed away, and so he stopped practicing. And so he's kind of away from the game, and now he was, kind of gearing it back up for the Masters in a month or less than a month. And that's the only bummer of, he would have played at Augusta, probably made the cut, and then shot like 80s on the weekend, but it still would have been fun to watch him at Augusta.
Yeah, I saw a story this morning that LeBron and the Lakers game against the Celtics last Saturday night is the highest rated regular season game, most watched game since their Christmas Day game, which that one was also LeBron and the Lakers against Steph and the Warriors.
It was the highest rated non-Christmas Day regular season game, I want to say, in 7 years for the NBA.
It was like 4.9 mil or 5 million, depending on who you're reading it from.
I watched it. I'm not a huge NBA guy, but I watched it.
And I did too, but by the end of the first half and then the second half, it was like, it doesn't look as good.
I just love a Saturday night basketball game. I'll watch almost whoever they put on that, unless it's the 76ers.
Well, it's Lakers and Celtics. I mean, I can't stand either organization, but that plays into it.
It is very interesting, is it not, to look at the landscape of maybe those two sports specifically and say the most watched, most wanted, whether you hate them or love them, LeBron, Steph in basketball. And I think what you say absolutely resonates. It's true. Is in golf, it's still LT Gray.
I mean, the ratings back it up. When he's in a tournament, the ratings are higher than when he's not playing.
And I don't know who, we don't do this to golf. Well, I mean, we kind of have a little bit, but we don't do it
Who's
to golf.
Who's the next guy? Yeah. Who's the next Tiger?
We don't do that to golf the way that everybody does that to basketball, right? Because it's like, well, who's the next guy in the NBA? And it's like, well, you got this guy, that guy. And it's like, yeah, well, most of America's saying whether they hate him or like him, they'll always watch LeBron more than anybody else.
They will.
In golf, I don't know who that is. we've always talked about the dynamic of Tiger Woods and kind of all of that mix of who he is in golf and how that kind of grabbed everybody in this country that never really cared about golf. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I'm watching golf. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know who that is in that sport. But that was my takeaway yesterday. It wasn't so much that he's hurt.
He's not going to to win
He's
he wasn't going to win anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
It was more just like, well,
He might be nearly 50.
What is this going to
He's
mean
49.
for
49
the sport?
years old. Yeah.
What is it going to mean this year for that sport and for those networks when they're carrying the unofficial major championship that you mentioned?
Yeah, he hasn't played the Players in a very long time, and there was hope that he was going to be able to play it. Really, he was down to 5 events a year.
Right.
If he could play the majors, he would play the majors, and then his tournament is the Genesis, which is usually at Riviera, but this year they had to move it to Torrey Pines because of the fires in Los Angeles, and so they didn't play at his home course.
Scotland, right?
Yeah,
Throne?
I would
Yeah.
imagine the Open Championship was the last time. Well, outside of the sometimes he plays a Hero World because that's also his tournament in the offseason.
I'm
but
talking
that's a
tour
random
events,
one.
I guess.
And then he
yeah.
does the PNC Championship with Charlie. But yes, tour events. I mean, that's a major, so it's not a tour event. But I get your point.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
The last major event that he played. Yeah, Open Championship last summer. Yeah, and look, is it going to have that big of impact on golf? Yeah, I mean, Thursday and Friday ratings, I'm sure, might be a little bit down. If you would have given me Tiger in a feature group on Thursday at Augusta, I'm probably keeping an eye on that feature group just to see how he plays, knowing that he's not going to win, just appreciating being able to watch him. Golf's just, look, the overall sport's in a very weird spot, and they've been dragging this out for like 2 years now. Remember when Monahan and the Piff Bro showed up on CNBC one afternoon? They're like, hey, by the way, we got a deal. We're going to partner. That was a long time ago, and they have not found a deal quite yet. And now there's rumblings of some of these guys on Live who their contracts are up. This is going on with Brooks Koepka right now, where Fred Couples came out and said he wants off the Live Tour and back on the PGA Tour, which is a weird thing to say. He's not wrong, because I guarantee you Brooks Koepka regrets his decision, not financially, but he's playing on an irrelevant tour that nobody watches. And he was asked at the latest Live event, hey, are you leaving? And he was basically like, look, I'm fulfilling my contract, and then I'll make my decision, because all these guys signed like 3-year deals to go play Live Golf, and then the PGA Tours, if they can't reach an agreement, is going to lift the embargo on these guys returning, and so you'll get some reunification of the sport, whether the two tours end up melding together or not. But the entire sport's in a very weird spot, and he's tried to address some of that. Tiger has. He's still a leader of the Players. He had the TGO created, which has been a new revenue stream for a lot of the bigger names in the sport. And I haven't watched it every week, but I've watched here and there. It's been entertaining from time to time.
I would say largely, too. I don't know the numbers week in and week out, but I would say from what I've seen, because I watched the first week, I saw a little bit of the second week, and I have not watched since. I would say, though, that regardless, even if it's sub $1 million, that has just been a good thing for the sport.
It's been unquestionably a good thing to get weeknight entertainment on with Rory versus Tiger.
With pro athletes
that are doing this kind of stuff, and it's been very entertaining. I will tell you my favorite thing that Tiger does, though. Every time I see it, it cracks it up. Unfortunately, it's been a lot of bad news recently, but as a social media follower of Tiger Woods, because how could you not follow Tiger? He sends all his own tweets, don't you know? Every time he releases something, he always has a press release.
It's a press release, a photo of a press release.
A photo of a press release. But then in the words of the tweet, he says the press release. So like yesterday, 17 hours ago, he writes in his tweet, as I began to ramp up my own training, blah, 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 I ruptured my Achilles.
Yeah.
The whole thing. And then you read the statement in the graphic, and it's the same thing.
Hits that algorithm twice.
He gives you the press release in a graphic with his Tiger Woods logo at the top, and then in the actual tweet, which makes me chuckle every time I read it.
Well, we have local media members, and I will not call all of the ones that do this because it's more than just one, but we have local media members that they do this. If Woj, when he was reporting, would say like, Portland Trailblazers guard so-and-so is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, they would quote tweet it and be like, Trailblazer guard out 4 to 6 weeks. Yep. And I'm like, what? You're
I can read it right there.
Just retweet it. I mean, what are you doing?
That's the initial statement. It says it right there.
You got to get your 3 retweets and 5 likes. Like, what are you doing with that? I never understood why people did that.
You know, to your guys' point quickly about the PGA and kind of looking for just that next guy up, there may not really be.
There never will be another one.
Exactly. I mean, you got Brooks Koepka up with 5. I think Nicholson has 6. Is he going to win 16? Like, no, of course not. And that's been over a long period of time. And then comparing it quickly to the NBA, like, the NBA needs that next guy up. You know, of course, you go from LeBron and Steph now to,
but people are telling you with their eyeballs, They don't think that there is one right now.
In the NBA?
In the NBA.
No, that's what I'm saying. But they really need it as opposed to the PGA. Thankfully, they're just, I don't know if it's just because they're like a more highfalutin or just like laid back sports fan that just accepts greatness when they watch it, and then they love the sport of golf, regardless of if there's a Jack Nicklaus or if there's a Tiger Woods or not. But I think that golf fans can just appreciate greatness as opposed to NBA fans where they're like, no, we need to see some kind of like elite guy leading the entire league.
Well, the only disagreement
I
I have with that take is the NBA just got a $76 billion deal for 11 years, year one. It's not even year one.
But that's, I would say that
so
was.
what do they need?
Well,
golf needs
That's
it.
yeah.
Golf doesn't have.
Yeah.
What is the next 5 years of golf? I don't think anybody in this room could tell me.
But people would enjoy.
And I would argue that
I
I would argue that I don't think either sport needs it because neither sport can get it. It's not attainable. There will never be another Tiger Woods.
Yeah, there'll never be another
From,
LeBron.
and not even from a talent standpoint, just from a captivating standpoint.
Right.
You will never have that again. The name, he was a prodigy,
The race.
his skin color, all of he winning the Masters as a teenager in 1997, you're never going to be able to recapture that. And so there might be somebody who gets to 10, maybe it's Scotty, maybe it's Rahm, maybe it's Brooks, I don't know. Maybe one of these guys ends up getting to 10, Bryson, who the hell knows. But golf's overall, the field is better than it's ever been. And I think this is the point of the NBA. The NBA is deeper and more talented than it has ever been. The skill level is higher than it has ever been. And so I think I would argue in this era of either sport, it's harder to break through and be a quote-unquote all-time great that just dominates the sport because it's never been better. It's more international than it's ever been, both golf and the NBA. You're never going to be able to have another LeBron James. I just don't think it's going to happen. Or a Michael Jordan. That was a moment in time in the 1990s where everything came together. Commercials, television, national TV deals, dynasty, the championships,
Sports
the team.
marketing took off
sports
in the
marketing.
Jordan
It just was a moment. And Tiger Woods was the same thing. And so I see, I think both sport would agree with you in terms of they would love to have it if you could find it. But I don't think either sport's in a spot where we need this in order to survive. They're both doing okay.